The new football season is well and truly back. There's new kits, there's new managers, even a new Premier League theme song. But not everything is brand new. What about the players who are stuck at the same club, the ones who didn't move? Today, we're diving into 5 players who could have moved on this summer, where they could have gone to, and why the move hasn't happened yet. Papa Pink is here with FourFourTwo. Let's talk about it. Starting things off in Bergamo, Italy, with a player I've always been a massive fan of personally, and that is 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔-𝗧𝗜𝗠𝗘. Now, firstly, it's important to note 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔 wants nothing to do with Atalanta anymore. In fact, he wasn't even training with the first team until earlier on in the week. But let's rewind back to the 3rd of August 2025. 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔 released an absolute bombshell of a statement accusing Atalanta of, and I quote, poor treatment as a human, while stating his wishes to call it a day in Bergamo and move on to the next stage in his career. Supposedly, 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔 was promised he could join Inter Milan at a certain price, and Atalanta broke that promise. Sounds a bit similar to the 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥-Newcastle saga, but we're not going to touch on that today. We need a break from him, we've had enough. So why no move? Simple. Atalanta were not budging. They wanted their 50 million euros. Straight up, no bonuses, no clever loan-to-buy-wise-guy schemes, and Inter came close. 40 million here, 42 plus a few incentives there, but it just wasn't enough. And as the days ticked by, 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔 got a bit restless, a bit frustrated, and in the end, very vocal. He skipped training, deleted Atalanta posts from his socials, changed his profile picture to black, and made it very clear to everyone that his patience had officially run out. Inter, meanwhile, started to rethink. The man they chased so eagerly suddenly felt less urgent. Other targets popped up, and slowly, 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔's dream move began to fade. Negotiations stalled, egos collided, and what had once felt inevitable simply evaporated. Pretty gutted for 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔, if I'm honest. He's done pretty much everything he can for Atalanta. Was the heartbeat of their Europa League success, scoring one of the most insane hat-tricks I've ever witnessed live in the final, bringing home their first trophy since, I think it was 1963, wrote himself in the history books of the club till the end of time. And now, 27 years old, he rightfully feels like it might be time to take that next step. And what's really frustrating from a fan's perspective is, if 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔 doesn't get a move at all, there are so many clubs in need of a left winger that he could slot into and make a proper impact. There's almost more point in naming the teams who don't need a left winger. I think he starts for so many teams in Europe, no question about it. And for me, he's ready-made, proven in big games. He's got that fearlessness that you can't coach. Who doesn't love a direct winger who takes on his man and drags defenders out of shape? Personally, I want to see him come back to the Premier League and absolutely smash it. Atalanta, let the boy go. Let's pivot an hour's drive from Bergamo to Milan, because if there's one player who always seems to be on the very brink of a Premier League move but never quite takes the plunge, it's Rafael Leão. Now, Leão's been at Milan since 2019, and in modern football, that's practically a lifetime for someone that's made that much noise. Every summer his name pops up, linked with Chelsea, whispers about Man United, Arsenal, even the odd shout that Pep Guardiola might fancy him at City. And you've got to ask yourself, why wouldn't they? He's got that ultra-rare blend of size, speed and skill. When he turns it on, he's on another planet. But I think that might be his problem, when he turns it on. I don't know if Leão turns it on enough. He's always been labelled a bit lazy, maybe too laid back. Would the intensity of the Premier League eat him up and spit him out? Here's the thing, Milan love him, and they fought tooth and nail to keep him. Big fat new contract, huge release clause of 175 million euros, constant reassurances that he's the face of the project. And in fairness, he's repaid them. Serie A title in 2022, Champions League runs, big game performances. He's idolised in Milan, no question. But you can't help but wonder if he's hit his ceiling there. 26 years old, he's entering his prime years. Does he want to be remembered as the same guy who lit up San Siro but never tested himself elsewhere? Or does he want to make the jump, become that marquee Premier League signing that everyone's been waiting for? This might be a long shot, but I look at Tottenham. They should be absolutely all over him. We know they've got the dough. They've just missed out on what would have been their marquee signing. They need to somehow replace Son. Levy, get your hands out your pockets and make a statement. At the end of the day, as mentioned, he's adored by Milan and they're not going to give him up easily. That's the tricky part. So for now, he'll most probably remain at the San Siro with his future hanging in the balance. It's one of them stories that keep popping up every summer. Tantalising, tad frustrating, and never quite resolving. And as a football fan, you can't help but wonder when or if he'll finally make that leap. Right then, enough in Italy. Let's shift our focus from Milan to the Midlands and talk about another big name who was this close to a move, but seemingly ended up staying put. The one and only Emi Martinez. Now, Emi's been practically glued to the sticks at Villa since 2020. He's lifted the Yashin Trophy twice, won a cheeky World Cup with Argentina, and in fairness, still widely regarded as one of the best goalkeepers on the planet. Here's where things get interesting. Having been a world-class servant, done what he needed to do, Villa were happy to listen to offers, but only if the right one came in. We saw the very telling, emotional farewell he gave Villa fans after their final home game last season. Looked as though it was a certain goodbye, till next time. But as of today, he ain't gone nowhere. I was 99% sure he was signing for one club and one club only, and that is Manchester United. He would fit like a glove. See what I did there? Look, it's no secret they have a goalkeeping crisis. Half the fan base don't rate their number one, Onana, and the whole fan base don't rate their number two, Bayindir. United have done some excellent business this summer. Got their main man Sesko and 𝗕𝗏𝗡 both looked so fluid and ready to roar against Arsenal. But if you ain't got a proper, reliable goalkeeper in between the sticks, it could very much amount to nothing, as we saw. Supposedly, Amorim's desire to buy him outright was rejected from the board. They wanted to prioritise an attack, hence their three main signings. So they opted to go for him on loan, which was of course rejected by Villa. Would make little to no sense letting him go without funds for a replacement. For 40 to 50 million quid, which in fairness would make him, I think, the fourth most expensive goalkeeper of all time, I can't help but think it's a no-brainer. We know what Emi's about. He brings consistency, he wins you games of football, big character in the dressing room. He's exactly the kind of bloke to transform their defence from shaky to half solid. And at 32, he's in his prime, and United's situation screams out for someone of his pedigree. It's the sort of move where everyone wins. Emi gets the biggest stage he craves, United get that stability that they so desperately need, and fans finally have someone they can trust between the sticks. Let's travel to London next up, and Christopher Nkunku's time at Chelsea feels like a story still in its mid-season cliffhanger. Flashes of brilliance, moments of frustration, and now the unmistakable signs that the end may be near. While the French forward hasn't moved yet, Chelsea's squad evolution strongly suggests that a departure is imminent. The arrivals of Liam Delap and 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗏 highlight this shift, with both newcomers giving Chelsea even more depth amongst their plethora of options in the final third. Despite this, Nkunku remains a highly attractive asset to any club willing to accommodate his style. He is football's Swiss Army knife, capable of drifting between midfield and attack, exploiting half spaces and combining goal scoring with creative playmaking. At Leipzig, he was one of Europe's most productive forwards, and even in his stop-start Chelsea tenure, he has shown glimpses of that same unpredictability and intelligence on the ball. And any team looking for an attacker who can create opportunities out of nothing, force defenders into guessing games, would benefit enormously from him. As for his potential destinations though, I can only really present three strong ideas. Firstly, Bayern Munich could use him as a link-up behind Harry Kane, giving their attack fluidity while retaining structure. Having lost Thomas Müller over the summer and Musiala to injury unfortunately, it seems like a great fit for me. Secondly, PSG could slot him into the attacking midfield interface, providing creativity and goals, all while marketing a French star in a team rebuilding post-Mbappe. Then there's a romantic option, a return to RB Leipzig, the club where he first became a superstar, has both emotional appeal and a tactical setup that perfectly suits his roaming, unpredictable style. For fans and players alike, a reunion could be both strategic and sentimental, a real chance for Nkunku to reignite his career where it all began. Now this is a controversial one, a player I cannot quite believe still plays for the club he's at, and not just that, contracted to that club until 2030, and that player is Bournemouth's diamond, Antoine Semenyo. No discredit to Bournemouth, I think they are one of the best run clubs in the Premier League, but I can't fathom how he signed his life away to them for the next 5 years. Geezer could walk into most sides on the planet. Well, maybe not that far, might be a bit of a stretch. But just look at what he did at Anfield. That weren't a one-off either. He's been consistently performing at the highest level for about 2 years now. So explosive, so direct, and what I love about Semenyo is his unpredictability and, dare I say, selfishness. Look at his second goal against Liverpool. Used both options either side as decoys and went alone. You don't know if he's going to pull the trigger, when he's going to pull the trigger. For me, he's borderline world class, and I can't help but think he should be at a club competing on all fronts. Bournemouth have been clever. They've locked him down, priced him sky high, and basically said, if you want him, you've got to pay up properly. And the big clubs have all circled, they've all admired, but no one's had the bottle to drop that big bid. Not yet anyway. But here's the truth, Semenyo's ceiling is way too high for him to stay on the south coast forever. The contract just means Bournemouth get a payday when the moment comes. And believe me, I think it's coming. Comment down below a player you think should have got a move this summer but didn't. I still can't believe Semenyo is a Bournemouth player. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Till next week.